Hey guys, this is where it's supposed to be. We're going to talk about my number 3 favorite Christmas movie. We did number 4 last week. That was Jingle All the Way, which was last week. You can see that right up here if you haven't seen that yet. Also check out Allie's. I'll have that up here eventually at some point as far as her number 4 favorite, Fat Man. And then you can also see her number 3 after you finish watching this and see what that's all about, because I have a response to her number 3 favorite movie. And she has a response to my number 3 as well. But we're going to talk about it today. And I just watched it this week too, which was great. I had my kids watch it and they were kind of confused. But my number 3 is Edward Scissorhands. That's right. The Johnny Depp, Tim Burton classic that I think still rings true today as far as some of the things that happen in the movie, as far as some of the themes. And that's, obviously a theme of Christmas is going to be a huge thing within a lot of these movies, whether they're considered Christmas movies or not. Say what you will about them. I'm not going to name off others because some of them might be on my list, but this movie I consider a Christmas movie. It happens during Christmas time. There isn't a lot of Christmas type stuff that happens, but as far as what you see, behind the scenes, I think is what really makes this movie a Christmas movie. So why Edward Scissorhands? Wouldn't that be more of a almost Nightmare Before Christmas type of Halloween Christmas movie? Yeah, I think it is. It has a lot of Halloween themes to it. You can play it at either time of year, October or December. I prefer to watch it December just because I feel like it is more of a Christmas movie than a Halloween movie. Personally, one of the biggest things I like about this movie is the theme of acceptance and also how people will shun you once you've made one mistake. Kind of like how we are with celebrities. I say how we are because it's just how a majority of people are. If celebrities are on their high, they're great. But once they make one mistake, because for some reason we don't see them as human, then we shun them and we discard them. We banish them. We don't want anything to do with them until they do something nice again, I guess. But the same can be said for Edward Scissorhands. Peg, played by Diane Wiest, who I love in this movie. It's the first movie I saw her in. I just figured she was always like this, like even in real life, how she plays the mother, just this motherly figure to Edward. But she's an Avon representative and she's going around door to door trying to sell. And she ends up going to Edward Scissorhands' house, who right now it's just him. He's not taking care of the place. He's a robot, doesn't need to eat. He's just there in his lonesome. And she sees him and figures, you know what, let me bring you back home and take care of you. It's from this one act of kindness that the movie starts. It begins. And everyone wants to be involved with Edward Scissorhands in some way, whether it's just getting to know him or taking advantage of him like the son does, or Anthony Michael Hall's character, the boyfriend who Winona Ryder does to break into his home. There's different scenarios, and in some cases, sexually, as you see the one neighbor that's trying to take advantage of him in the beauty salon. But everybody wants a piece of Edward Scissorhands until it's brought out like he is a thief, like he breaks into homes.
Listen, it could keep me up all night worrying about you. You watch yourself here.
And it's pretty much all because of Anthony Michael Hall's character and a little bit Winona Ryder, that he's in that scenario and that people look at him in a different way now because of a mistake that he's made. And it was a bad decision on his part, but he's a robot. He doesn't know. He has no clue. He just wants to do whatever Winona Ryder's Kim tells him to do. He's like, I like you. I dig you. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. He's a robot. He's just used to following orders. That's kind of how it is. But that's the biggest thing I like from this movie, that it uses that as a metaphor of really how we treat celebrities or people that we look up to. Once they make that one mistake, we don't always forgive right away, or we don't forgive at all. Like a lot of townspeople in this movie, they just didn't forgive. They wanted him to die. They wanted Edward Scissorhands to die because they felt like everything was happening that bad in their lives or bad in their town because of him. And that wasn't the case. It was unfortunate to see a lot of things that happen in this movie where he does try to help, and because he has scissors for hands, it just messes something up. Like he tries to save the young boy, Kim's brother, but then subsequently starts to scratch his face with his hands because they're made of scissors. But he was trying to save him from being hit by a car. Like, it's all these different things that happen where it's like, he just can't win. And sometimes we feel that way. Like no matter what we do in our lives, something's always there to kind of beat us back down. But I think the biggest thing is how we kind of come back up from that. And for Edward Scissorhands, it was more or less therapy helping him, like a type of therapy, which was gardening, kind of cutting all the bushes to make different characters or make families or make dinosaurs, whatever the case, or a dancing girl or carving the ice, which again, me and my wife even said this. I don't know who was delivering these huge ice blocks to the castle that he was, making the snow for the town and making all these sculptures like Kim's sculpture of dancing in the snow. Who was delivering those? And where do you get the money for that? Like, I don't know if that's a plot hole or just a question of how is this happening? But I appreciate everything that happens in this movie. Like, it's one of those things where I'll never forget the movie. It's been years since I've seen it, and I'm naming things or kind of talking about things that are about to come up the next scene, and my wife's like, when's the last time you saw this movie? I'm like, it's been a long time, but it's just never left me. I've loved this movie since the first time I've seen it. I think the one overall piece for me of why I'll never forget this movie is because of Danny Elfman's score. He's done a lot of great musical pieces for Tim Burton's films and other films too, but this is one that I'll never forget. And I listen to this one pretty often just on my Spotify playlist. I'll listen to this one pretty often. And I think it's got one of those themes, main themes. When you hear it, you know exactly what it's from. There was a lot of stuff in this movie where if there was just a conversation or, hey, everybody stop, listen, and you explain what's going on, it would kind of stop a lot of the stuff that happens in this movie. But you need some drama. You need different things to kind of, help with the arc of different characters. And the biggest thing I noticed in this movie is that nothing really changes overall for Edward Scissorhands. The same way that he's found is the same way that he's left. And that, I'll be honest, that's kind of sad, but he grows in his experiences with the family. He grows in his experiences with the different people that he meets in the neighborhood. All the things that he experienced, he's better for it. Not a better man because he's a robot, but he's better for having experienced it. And even though things may look dour and like it's pretty much the same because he's still alone, those experiences made him better. I think that's really awesome. I think that's why I love it so much. It's just one of my favorite movies. And that's why movies are amazing. that's why I love film, because it gets you to thinking, gets you to talking, gets you to kind of looking inward a little bit. And there's just so many things to enjoy. While this is an older movie, my kids really noticed that. You got rotary phones, for goodness sake. And, there's all these different things about the movie that maybe don't age as well here, in today's time, but it's a remembrance of how it was for us, at least for me when I was a kid, things that we grew up with. But at the core of this film is the theme of just acceptance and being kind. And when you think of Christmas, it's about being kind and being giving, not thinking of yourself, not being selfish. And those are the biggest themes in this movie. Like, Edward just wanted to make other people happy, and he didn't want to make people sad or scared. He himself was scared, and that's the last thing he wanted to do to anybody. So it's this one holds a special place in my heart. I know, again, it is number 3. It's not number 1. It's not number 2, but it's in the top 4. You'll like my number 1 and my number 2, I'm sure. But those are mine. Allie, I want to know your thoughts on why this isn't the best Christmas movie. There's nothing you can do to change my mind, but maybe, just maybe, you could change someone else's mind of why this is not the best Christmas movie or a Christmas movie at all. Like my wife and my son thought. They didn't think it was a Christmas movie at all. But I need to hear your thoughts. What do you got?
So, Edward Scissorhands, horror film or Christmas film? You decide. So we start off with the protagonist of the film, who is literally the villain of the film, breaking and entering into a house, grabbing Edward Scissorhands and trying to acclimate him to family life.
I think you should just come home with me.
Not knowing anything about this man, not knowing at all that he's even a robot, but she tries to be the good person and tries to make him feel welcomed in the family, while also realizing that he could be useful in a lot of ways, and starts making him trim people's lawns, groom people's pets, and being a personal stylist to her and every other woman in the town for no pay. He also falls in love with her daughter, who is the first picture of the young girl that he ever sees, so who knows if that's really true love. She also has a boyfriend who has it out for Edward and eventually tries to murder him. Also, the town has a weird infatuation with Edward. They love him, and one girl loves him a little too much until stuff starts to happen, and then they start to loathe him, to the point where if they were able to, they would stone him. The redhead, who has a oddly disturbing fascination with him, assaults Edward. When Edward rejects her, she turns around and tells the town that he assaulted her.
Edward, you come back
actor, you can't do that!
The mom, okay, first off, let me just throw this clip in. So the husband suggests that Edward, charges people. Like, you can't be going around doing free labor.
I understand you're not charging for your gardening, Edward.
Then the mom turns around and says this.
Now, Bill, Marge made him cookies today.
And then she turns around and says this.
You want to give me that new haircut?
Again?
Yeah, sure. Makes me proud to have you as my own personal hairdresser.
But then after realizing that she was kind of like wrong the entire time, she says this.
When I brought Edward down here to live with us, I really didn't think things through, and I didn't think about what could happen to him.
The daughter was pretty useless. I mean, she's just there making loud noises and making weird looks, not really helping at all, when it comes to knowing that Edward does like her and he's doing these things, even committing crimes, because she's asking him to, even though he has no reason to be in any of these situations. And again, no one knows who he is. No one knows that he's a robot that's being turned into a human. But also the film raises more questions than answers it. We find him in his house when the woman breaks and enters into his house. How is he operating wearing a leather suit with scissors for hands? Also, a lot of time passes at the beginning of the film and it's only been a day. And it felt like a whole week. That's just something I observed. It was actually kind of interesting when I was watching and I was like, wow, it feels like a whole week. Why is he wearing the same clothes? Oh, because it's all happening in the same day. Wow. Also, if you watch the film, then you know this story is being told to a child. How is this a good bedtime story for any young child? What, at the end, the child's gonna be like, hey mom, thank you so much for telling me this story about a man that had scissors for hands that got enslaved and then at the end ended up having to run for his life because the town tried to kill him, but then he ultimately murdered the person that tried to murder him. Thanks mom, I'm gonna go to sleep now. What parent would do that? Also, why is the kid in one shot a floating head in a ginormous bed and the next scene a normal sized child in a normal sized twin bed? I'm just saying, just asking questions, Mike. I just want to know, where are we on this film? Horror film, Christmas film? Is it like one of those Nightmare Before Christmas films where it kind of could be both, even though this one is definitely leaning more towards the horror than the Christmas? Let me know, Mike.
All right. So the number of days I can answer, well, at least not number of days. This all was not happening in the same day. Yes, he had the same clothes, but if you notice, they pinned the suspenders because he cut them. Those are the only clothes they had for him. That was it. He's wearing, I think Bill was his father's name. He's wearing the father's clothes. So that's what's happening there. But they had dinner multiple times. They had dinner the first night that Peg brought Edward to their house. That was dinner number one. They had dinner when the daughter came back and the friend was having dinner with them and the boyfriend. Another dinner. They had the get together with the neighbors as far as the potluck. They had that. They had dinner or lunch at least at a restaurant in the little town shopping area. They had the Christmas dinner. So this is happening over a course of days at least. I would say it's probably a week. It is actually like a week, maybe a week and a half. Because a lot of stuff is happening. He's going to the bank. He's trying to get a loan. He's doing all these things. He's looking at the store with the lady that tried to seduce him. He went to another store with another neighbor that took him to get his scissors sharpened. So there's a lot of stuff that was happening, and this was not all in one day, Allie. Okay, not all in one day. I'm with you on the daughter, though. Kim really was not needed in this one. The whole love angle was weird, and it came out of nowhere. And it's funny because she's like, I love you. And he, his eyes roll the back of his head, and he's happy that he's being accepted. But it was weird because, yes, longer than a day. Sometimes most movies will say somebody's been together with another, person of the opposite sex for more than 2 days, and they're in love now. It makes sense. This one, yes, was longer, but still didn't make much sense because she kind of loathed him for the first number of days that he was there. So yes, that's the one I can answer though. It was not all in one day. It was about a week and a half. I'm basing this off the food because I love food. So they were eating a lot. And it does show you that because a lot of things were happening. There's no way all this could be done in the same day. But I am more on the side that this is a Christmas movie, not a horror movie. There are horror aspects, but it doesn't have enough scary elements to make it a horror film. It's more of a Christmas movie because of the themes and the interactions that he has with the different people involved and the fact that it happens during Christmas time. There's a Christmas party involved, all that jazz. And the themes just warrant it more so that way. But that's just me. That's just me. Check out Allie's channel for her number 3 favorite Christmas movie. I have a response to that one as well, so I hope you go check that out right now. Otherwise, I want to thank you all for watching, members, subscribers, watchers, especially my Hyper Crew members, Brian Tidwell, Steve-O, Slepnir-Milner, K6013, Daniel Lopez, Portal on Mobile 44, Kratos, William Cooper, Shane Cook, Richie Chester, and Arna Steelpelt. I'll see you guys in the comments for this video. I'll also see you in the comments for Allie's video for her number 3 favorite Christmas movie as well. So I'll see you guys over there. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next video.